I'm your host, not for possession, Narcissa Deville, and welcome to hell. So, when I decided I wanted to start the transition process, I knew one of the requirements for me was that I was going to have to see a therapist. The requirement is that you have to see 2 therapists if you're going to get SRS. Now, I knew that I was nowhere near where I needed to be to get SRS. One of the many requirements besides 2 therapists is that you also need a year of real life experience and a year on hormones. So in order to start hormones, in order to pretty much do anything, you really need that approval and sign off from your first therapist. So what I decided to do was I was like, okay, I'm going to contact someone from my insurance company. I had just gone full-time at my job. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to contact someone here and they're going to be able to help me. So I found an amazing therapist in my local city. I was so in love with this doctor. She was so amazing. And I saw her pretty much, I think I scheduled it for maybe 1 or 2 weeks out from when I first called in to see her. I was absolutely terrified because I really didn't know what to expect. I had seen a few therapists after my parents got divorced, but nothing really serious. Like I hadn't seen a therapist in years at that point. And I had also kind of just still been getting out of my depression. So I was kind of like not sure what to make of, what our interaction was going to be. So it ended up, I went to her office. I'm sitting there kind of waiting and like heart starting to race a little bit because I didn't know what to expect. Again, I've heard some horror stories about therapists who have tried to deny people and kind of say, well, you're not trans, you're not this, kind of like basically try and deny their experience and their existence. And that was something that I really didn't want to happen. That was something I was kind of worried about. And so I was just like, I was really not sure what to think and what to make of any of it. And I was very nervous about that. I get in there, we're talking, it's great. She's such a sweetheart. We have a really good rapport, really good chemistry. And she's like, come back in another week or so and I'll have this paper done for you. I'll have everything signed, blah, 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 blah. And you can start, going on hormones. And I said, okay, well, do you have anyone you recommend, basically? Because obviously I trust her pretty implicitly. I trust her opinion. And so she's like, oh yeah, I got this person who's a nurse practitioner. She'll be able to help you out. She gave me her card. I was like, okay, cool. So I come back, get my letter signed, and I go and, make an appointment to see this nurse practitioner. Now, let me just start with the weird, because this is kind of where the story gets a little weird. So, make an appointment with this nurse practitioner. She is currently at a doctor's office, which I guess she's like working out of, but she's not officially a part of. That was like red flag number 1, let's say. And so she's like, oh yeah, I can make an appointment with you, but I'll be leaving in 3 months. And I was like, okay, well, I just need hormones now. I don't have to worry. I'll worry about that in 3 months or whatever. So we go down there, we meet with her. Now, mind you, this clinic that we went to, or this doctor's office, really, I was the youngest person in the entire office. And I was like the youngest patient and everything. I was like, what is going on here? Is this a geriatric clinic? Like I was very confused. And so she came, she saw us. Now, first of all, we get there, we go to check in, we tell them who we're seeing, and they're like, who? Who is that? And my mother and I are looking at each other like, what are they talking about? Like, why don't they know who this person is? So like literally one person knew who she was. And so she's like, oh yeah, it's this person, I'll go get her, whatever. And I'm just like, oh God, what am I getting myself into? Now, I want to make this unequivocally clear. I do not blame my therapist for this. I don't. I blame the nurse practitioner for this whole situation. So we go to, we get in the back. She takes us in the back, whatever, takes us to a private room. And, she's talking to me. She's asking me all kinds of questions. I gave her the letter. She makes a photocopy, blah, 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 blah. So she starts to tell me kind of her requirements for being on hormones with her. And, she's talking, she's like, I like to have all of my patients get tested every month because, just some people, when they get on hormones, they kind of just go crazy and they don't pay attention. And I'm like, is she trying to say I'm going to become a hoe? Like, what are you talking about? And like literally every 30 days, that's a little bit extreme. Or maybe she said every 3 months. It was something like way too much. And I was like, okay, that seems, I think it was actually every 3 months. And I was just like, okay, sure. So like, she wants me to get tested every 3 months because essentially she's like, well, some people just, they're not careful and blah, 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 blah. And then she proceeds to ask me, so like, in a sexual connotation, would you be giving or receiving? Now, I'm not the sort of person who has any problem talking about my sex life. I'm not. I will happily talk about it. I'm pretty open when it comes to that sort of thing. I am not a prude by any way, shape, or form. But here was my problem with that question. I had already explained to her that I did not have a sex life. I did not have a boyfriend at that time. I wasn't even in any position to see someone. And one of the things I told her was that I wanted to get my transition a little bit more on a stronger foot before I even considered seeing someone. So, like, I don't quite understand that question. Whatever. I was like, well, I would be receiving, I guess. Like, I am very proudly a bottom, so I don't know if that's what you mean, that is what I'm talking about. And she's like, okay, well, gonna need you to get tested every 90 days, whatever. And, if you'd like, one of the side effects of this is, things start to not work the same. So if you'd like, I can prescribe you some like Viagra or Cialis or something like that. And I'm just like, where do you think I am interested in that? I was like, no, that's kind of why I'm here. That's kind of what I'm trying to get rid of. Like, what? Now listen, I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to discredit or discount trans women who are interested in that sort of thing. I am not trying to discount your experience. I am not trying to say that that is not valid, that you shouldn't want that. But my question is, why, if I say I'm a bottom, would you assume that that's something I'm interested in? Number one. Number two, I don't know what the experience has been like for other trans women. I really don't. But in my experience, that's not something, if that was something I was interested in, which it is not, it's not something I have a problem with. So, like, I don't really understand why that was something she was asking me about. Like, the whole thing felt very, very weird. Now, again, I realize that there's different types of trans people, there's different types of trans experiences, but, like, for me, like, just all of it felt very, very weird. So she put me on a 90-day subscription, or 90-day subscription, oh my god. She put me on a 90-day prescription, and we went on our merry way, we got that filled, and that was kind of it. So we come back like, I think 2 weeks before my prescription is about to be out because we wanted to make sure we had enough time to sort of see her again, figure out where she's supposed to be. Now, from what she told us, she would still be at the main doctor's office that we first met her at in 90 days' time. That was what we understood. That was what we knew. That was how that was going to work. So we go back in the 90 days, as we were told. And again, nobody knew who she was. Nobody had a clue who we were talking about. So we're like, okay, this is even creepier. And the one person who did know, yet again, was like, oh yeah, she left a week ago. Okay, well, at no point did she call us to let us know that. No point did she say, hey, I'm going to be gone. This is where I'm going to be. No forwarding address, no phone number, no nothing. So I'm like, great. I am literally, I'm just on my 3rd month of hormones. I'm just getting used to this shit. And now you're going to be like, so, just gone. And I was like, perfect. So I start looking around. I start looking at endocrinologists that my insurance takes. And I was like, okay, let's see. What do we got? Who can I call to maybe help me out here? So I called about 3 or 4 endocrinologists, right? Every single one of them was like, we don't serve trans people. We don't do that. We do not do hormones for transgender people. Okay. So where the f*** does that leave me? So I go and I'm like, okay, well, I had done some research before I even went to this nurse practitioner. I had done some research and I found an amazing, amazing doctor who was very well beloved in the transgender community in Vegas. You found him with a very quick Google search of doctors who do hormone replacement therapy for trans people in Vegas. Like, he's very, very amazing. He's very, very well known within our community. He's been working with trans people since the 1970s. Like, he's very that. So I had originally made an appointment with him before I even made it with the nurse practitioner. I made the appointment with him. Now, apparently the nurse who scheduled my appointment wasn't aware that I was trans. And I guess, I didn't say anything. I just kind of assumed she knew that's what I was there for. Because, I'm in my 20s talking about getting hormones. And so apparently with trans-specific patients, they don't really go through insurance, and probably, I'm not going to speculate as to why that is, but they don't go through insurance, so it's technically, you're a cash patient, and you have to pay a certain amount, which is like $190, which I did not have at the time. I didn't know if I could afford that. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to see this nurse practitioner. That was clearly a mistake. So finally, this doctor is like literally my last choice. That's it. He's all I've got left. So I'm like, well, I don't have any other choice, so I guess I'm going to deal with this, aren't I? So we make the appointment with him again, and I go to see him, and I'm like, okay, saved up some money, got my cash, let's do this. So I paid them. That was what it was. We saw him. You guys, he was the sweetest doctor ever. He was such an amazing sweetheart. He was so knowledgeable. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was like, oh my God, I thought you were on hormones for 10 years and it had been 3 months. And I was like, thank you. I just have really good genes. No, but like, it was such a sweet moment, and it was so amazing to hear, and to like, the whole thing was just really, really refreshing to me. I think this conversation goes with a lot of conversations I've been having lately, which is go with your gut. If your gut is telling you something, you should probably be listening to that. Because there was a part of me that was kind of like, we should go with this guy. He's got really great reviews. Let's just stick with this. Yeah, it's a little expensive. technically I probably could bill my insurance company, and I will actually be going back to him in October for another refill because he writes me a year prescription. So I'm going to be going back to him in October, and I will see about possibly what I can do if I can get a if I can bill my insurance, because I actually forgot the last time, which is like, who forgets about $200? But this bitch apparently, because it means I have to like mail people. And ugh. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, and again, if you'd like to see more story times, like this video, comment down below, give me a subscribe, and until next time, bye.